Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today I'm going to be making mung bean noodles that I've been wanting to make for a long time, and it's great for a person like me who has grown sensitive to wheat to have other options for noodles, because I think besides bread, noodles are the thing I miss the most. I'm not really interested in trying finding substitutes all the time for all different kinds of things like substitute pasta and yada yada. I'd just rather have a really good meal. And in the case of bread, I've discovered that I can eat sourdough bread, which is wonderful. So I still limit the amount of bread I eat, but when I do, I go for sourdough and I find I'm just fine. When it comes for noodles, I often opt for sweet potato noodles, which are clear and transparent and have a wonderful chew, which is one of my favorite qualities of a noodle, is the kind of chewiness. But today I'm going to be making homemade noodles from mung bean starch. You can actually make it from mung bean yourself. You can get the beans, you can grind them up and flush lots of water into the puree to extract the starch out. Or you can simply buy mung bean starch. Just like you would buy potato starch or tapioca starch, the starch is already procured for you, which is great. It makes it very, very convenient. In Chinese, these noodles are called Liang, and they're a cold noodle often served in the summertime with a chili kind of garlic sauce. And to make these noodles, you need a special tool. This is essentially a grater and has this little scoop on the top so that you can collect the noodles. You don't have to have this tool though. You can slice the noodles. I've seen versions of these noodles that are nice and thick and wide, different kinds of shape, but generally they are shaved using this grater so you get long kind of strands. So super excited to try this technique and to see how they taste. So let's go ahead and get started. So here's my mung bean flour. I'm using this brand I found at my local Asian market. And is there a picture of mung beans? You can't see the picture of mung beans, but typically you can find whole mung beans at your Chinese market, Asian market, and they're green beans. And you can soak them and you can use them for all kinds of dishes. When they're cooked, they turn yellow and they have a lovely kind of starchy texture to them. But this starch has been extracted from crushed beans. So we're going to take 1 cup of the starch and add it to a bowl. So it has a consistency very similar to tapioca starch or cornstarch, very, very fine and dusty. And when you squeeze it, it kind of squeaks. Hear that? I love that sound. My oldest child does not like that sound. It reminds me of very cold snow. And when you walk on it, it does that great squeaking sound. I love that sound. Meanwhile, I'm also going to bring 4 cups of water to just the boil. I'm going to start that while we do this. Alrighty, so 1 cup of starch, and to that we're going to add an equal amount of water. So just a cup of water. Oops, let me get my whisk. Now, if you've ever made a cornstarch thickened sauce, you know what we are doing here, but starches tend to clump when you add them to water, especially hot water. So what we're doing is we're creating a slurry. So we're kind of watering down the starch and distributing it in water so that when we add it to hot water, it won't clump. Now, I'm noticing it's behaving a little bit like cornstarch. It wants to settle to the bottom of this bowl. If you've ever made oobleck, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Non-Newtonian substance, as they say. So keep it moving and it stays in suspension, allow it to sit, and it will settle. So we're going to add this slurry to this pot of water right when we begin to see some bubbles forming in the bottom of the pot. We don't want this coming to a full boil because I think it will get lumpy. So I'm starting to see some bubbles forming at the bottom. So that's the appropriate time to add our mung bean slurry. So add it, stir, and then we're going to turn the heat down to low. So we want to keep stirring this, and then we're going to cook this for 3 to 5 minutes or until we get a thick, translucent gel. Once we get a few blips, big bubble pops, then we know we're ready to transfer it into our awaiting mold. Now, I've seen a few examples of this gel being transferred into a bowl, and then you shave around the round shape to get the noodles. But I'm gonna opt to use this pan, which I have a lid for. I believe it's a Pullman loaf pan for baking a very specific type of bread. But this way, we can get nice long strands. We don't have to work around the shape. You know what I mean? If we have a round shape, you have to kind of shave around in a kind of semicircular direction. I don't know if I'm making sense. It'll be clear when I do the shaving part. Alrighty. Anyways, so all the recipes that I found about making the gel, they say at this stage, it's very important to keep stirring and to stir constantly. When it thickens, it will go transparent. And of course, it will get thicker. So I have it on pretty high heat right now, medium high heat. And then I'm supposed to turn it down as it goes along. Okay. Oh yes, I'm starting to see some little chunks happening. So, oh yes, and it's starting to sound less like sloshy, like water. Oh yes, look at that. It's magically beginning to gel. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Almost instantly, it sort of just flipped. It's got a beautiful consistency, so smooth. It doesn't smell like anything at all. It's gorgeous. Okay, see that couple blups, blups, blups? All right, we're done. Couple big boils, couple blups, perfect. Very technical term, blups, bloops. So now we're going to transfer it into our awaiting dish. Just pour it in. See how it ribbons? Gorgeous. Okay, I'm gonna use my spatula to get the rest of it in there. It's so easy. Isn't that beautiful? It looks like silicone. If you've ever done any silicone caulking, you know what I'm talking about. Now, before we place it into the refrigerator, let it cool at room temperature for a bit because this is screaming hot. Then I'm going to slide my lid on this, and I'm actually going to set this outside because here in New England, it's pretty cold. So just let this cool and then put it outside. We're going to let it cool completely, refrigerate for 2 to 3 hours, it says, before we do our noodle shaving. Alrighty, my lovelies, I will see you in a few hours. Alrighty, my lovelies, I am back with our cooled mung bean noodles. Well, soon to be noodles. This is the solid, massive gel that we're going to be shaving our noodles out of. Now, it has been a full 24 hours since I let this set up, and it is completely cooled, and now we can shave them. So, here we are, fully cooled. Doesn't look too different than when we put it in there in the first place. I've got some water in here. I'm gonna pour this out. Good amount of water, actually. And we're gonna invert it out of the pan. And now we are going to shave the noodles. So here is the shaver, and it essentially looks like a grater, kind of like a box grater. And we're going to drag it over top, and that's going to create our noodles. All right, here we go. Look at that. Do you see that? So cool. There's our noodles. Beautiful. That's so cool. Just drag it along. Look at that. They look like rice noodles. Kind of transparent and they're jiggly. Okay, let's try it again. I love it. They look so cool. Such a cool process. Just with a few passes, you get a whole pile of noodles. So Liang can be made this way with this shaver, But I've also seen versions that have been cut kind of like in thin kind of blocks or sticks and also eaten with a sauce. So we'll be making that next. But first I want to make more noodles. So you can just drag and pull and make these noodles. So the longer the pass, of course, the longer the noodle. And depending on how hard you press, you can get a thicker or thinner noodle. You can't really make it too thick though, just based on the nature of the shaver. Look at that. But you can see why you need this little lip here to catch the noodles at the bottom. Look at that. So cool. I'm really happy with the mold I chose to use. It allows me to make a really long pass and get a nice long noodle. In other videos I watched, people used bowls, shallow bowls, and so you had a round shape and you had to maneuver the shaver in an arc to get a nice long noodle. But when you have a long block like this, it's really simple to get a nice long pass, which is great when trying out a new recipe, when you can get it to work. That's so great. So look at this pile of noodles I already have. So easy. According to the nutrition facts on here, this is only 1.5 tablespoons, which is a very small amount. It has 45 calories. But there's no fat, no cholesterol, no sodium, no protein, no nothing except some calories. But very small amount. Alrighty, so now that I've got a quick pile of noodles, check this out. Amazing. Now let's season them up with a lovely sauce. So in my bowl, I'm going to crush a couple cloves of garlic. All right, so a couple cloves of fresh garlic. We're going to add some soy sauce. And an equal amount of black vinegar. This is used quite a bit in sauces and it's delicious. So, same amount. That'll make it a little bit sour. And then some toasted sesame oil. And then dilute it with just a bit of water. A couple tablespoons. And then I'm going to add some chili crisp. Or you can just add some chili oil. This will give a little heat and some spice. Mostly just going to add the oil portion of the chili crisp in there. Stir that in. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful orange color. And then we're going to add some green onions too. I'm going to add the white portion to the sauce, and then I'll add the greens to the noodles once we serve them up. Gorgeous. This would actually be delicious for dumplings. Anything, so good. So in my bowl, we're going to add a nice big pile of our noodles. Beautiful. Now we're going to add our sauce right on top. Beautiful. Along with some green onions right on top. Finally, some sesame seeds right on top. Boom, look at that. Gorgeous. All right, my lovelies, the moment of truth, my first taste of homemade cold mung bean noodles. They smell great, garlicky and sesame seedy. I'm gonna give it a little stir. I can also smell some of that vinegar in there too, but look at them. That's incredible. You shave these. Alrighty, let's give them a taste. Itadakimasu. Mmm. Boy, the sauce is so good. Garlicky, vinegary, salty, with a lovely kind of warm, toasted sesame flavor to them. The noodles are cold, chili, which is interesting because there's some chili sauce in here, which isn't very spicy, by the way. Just a little bit of warmth, but the noodles themselves are very chilly and cold. Chilly meaning cold, frigid. Mmm. Have a little bit of bounce to them, but mostly it's kind of a gelled texture. A little bit of stretch, but they kind of just snap and break. So there is some bounce, but not too much chewiness. A little bit brittle, but like a gelled brittle texture. They look a lot like rice noodles, but they do not have the texture of rice noodles. Rice noodles, when they're fresh, have a lovely soft, plush chewiness to them. These are different. Although they do look similar, but these are completely gluten-free. The sauce is incredible. It really gives all the flavor to the noodles. Let's try the noodles alone. Don't taste much of anything at all. Not even any salt or any flavor, just a blank canvas. Not even like rice noodles. I don't have a ricey flavor. They just taste plain. So you really need something flavorful to give them some flavor. And this sauce totally does it. It's so delicious. Nutty, salty, tangy, a little bit chili. And garlicky and oniony. So delicious. So stinking delicious. Love it. Alrighty, my lovies. There you have it. I made noodles out of this mung bean jello. It's incredible. Super easy to make, very economical. This bag of mung bean flour, I could make 3 or 4 batches, I'm guessing, and this was about $5.99 at my local Asian market. You can get a smaller bag for $3.99, I believe. But if anything from this recipe, even if you don't make the noodles, make this sauce. This would make any dumpling more delicious. So stinking scrumptious. Alrighty, my lovelies. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye!